Hello, founders. Welcome back to Founderama, another exciting episode. So today, a very interesting topic, a topic that I really love because, in my opinion, and in my experience over the last 25 years of working with startups, working with founders, and all that, at the core of business success is identifying your target market, the ideal customer profile, right? That is where everything resides. That is the starting point. That is the nexus. That is the alpha. That is the source of the river, so to speak. You get it, right? And the reason I'm terribly excited about, um, talking about customer personas, buyer personas, ideal customer profile, ICP, target market, target audience, all these words come under this general concept of the audience, the people whom your business serves, right? Because at the end of the day, we're in business for what? Okay, to make money, to make profits. That's okay. That's the duty, the dharma of businesses, right? The dharma of business is to make money, is to make profit. That is what capitalism is all about. But beyond that, there is this thing that I always talk about, which is the exchange of value, right? Between us as business owners, founders, entrepreneurs, and our customers. There is an exchange of value. We provide them value, and then they provide us back value in the form of money, loyalty, and all that. So, in this exchange, and I always say we need to provide more value than they give back, understanding whom we are giving that value to is fundamental. Anyway, let's jump in. So, yes, we're going to dive into the world of psychographics and discover how understanding our target audience emotions, behaviors, and pain points can help secure funding and scale your business. Okay, so I want to break this down into the process of identifying audience tiers, leveraging archetypes, and crafting compelling messages that resonate with your perfect customers. So the key is to unlock your startup's potential and attract the investors you need. Okay, so how do we define our ideal customer profiles, right? ICP. Create research based buyer personas considering demographics, psychographics, behaviors, and pain points. Okay, so, and I keep saying this, and you must have watched me talk about this in another episode, but most founders, most business owners, they're looking at demographics, even marketing firms, marketing agencies, a lot of them, well, these days, it's the trend is changing, but typically, traditionally, they used to look at demographics, which is okay. We need demographics. Demographics is, about where they live, what do they do, what age, and so on and so forth. But psychographics is much more important than that. So psychographics is about behaviors, pain points. What do they care about, right? So understand how your ICP thinks, feels, and cares about their goals and challenges. This is critical, and that is part of identifying our ICP. Leverage existing customer data, market research, and competitor analysis. If you're just starting out and you don't have any customers, that's fine. That's where you do competitor analysis. You do market research, right? You try to find the trends and so on to understand where was this market before. And when I say the market, it's the consumers, right? So where were the consumers before? Where are they now? Where are they going to switch to? Where are they going to shift to? Because consumer sentiment, consumer behavior, thinking is always shifting. It's like the sands. It's like the ocean. It's not static. And it is our responsibility as founders, as entrepreneurs, to understand that, to keep a finger on the pulse of this shifting sands, so to speak. The importance of ICP for startups. I've already started this video talking about the importance of ICPs, but let's just, go back to that again. Recognize the need for a focused target audience to maximize limited resources. Now, let's face it, we all work with limited resources, right? So even if we get funding, we got to safeguard that funding. We got to be very frugal with it. We got to be very pragmatic with it. And if you already got funding, or if you're already in business, then you got limited resources for marketing. So if you identify your ICP, if you use that as your starting point, then you make better use of your limited resources. Why? Because then we can avoid the pitfalls of mass marketing and targeting to too many audience segments. Because look, if you don't know who your ICP is, then what happens is you will have to use a kind of a scattered approach, right? That's what mass marketing is. But the brands that do mass marketing, well, they got the money to do that. So, but even then, you will notice they are very, very, very targeted. They do their ICPs and so on. Embrace the concept of niching down for better traction and growth. So, if you're trying to target everyone, you target no one. So, niching down is very important because the riches are in the niches, right? So, this concept of niching down for better traction and growth, it is enabled by ICP, by customer personas, all that. Okay. First of all, the first step is identify your audience tiers. That is, break down your audience into primary, secondary, and tertiary tiers, right? So you got your audience, and that's where demographic comes in. So you use demographics to get this set of audience, right? It's a set. It might even seem like a homogeneous set. Homogeneous set means that most of the people in that set have similar characteristics. But no, you and I both know that people are not like that. Even within a homogeneous set, there are many different kinds of people. When people say, when the people talk about races or nationalities, okay, an Indian, an American, and a Russian, Chinese, they are, yes, it's a set of people, but within that, there are many, 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 many different kind of tiers, right? Okay, so analyze the primary focus, desires, and challenges of each tier. So you take the primary tier, which is the core. So it's almost like drawing bullseye, right? You got the concentric circles. At the center is this primary tier. And that primary tier, you're looking at saying, what are their desires, challenges? What is their primary focus? What do they really care about in their life? Not with regards to your product or your business. Because at the end of the day, no one wakes up thinking, okay, today I'm going to buy from XYZ. Or maybe they do if you've been dreaming about it. So if you've been researching, I don't know, buying an iPhone or whatever, the latest one, then yeah, you say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to buy. So you wake up in the morning and then you're like, but I'm talking generally, right? So you got to understand these things, the nuances of these, right? Now, keep a maximum of 3 tiers to avoid diluting your marketing effects. So sometimes you may realize there are many other tiers. So you've got your core tier whose problem you are solving 100%. And then you have adjacent markets, secondary tier. Let's say you make, I don't know, a watch, right? You create a watch, you make a watch. And then you got this primary tier, which is men of a certain age, doing certain things with a certain attitude that will buy this. That is the primary tier. But then you got the secondary tier, which is the gift giving tier. So it's the girlfriends or the wives or the spouses or the kids or, whoever, the fathers, the mothers of these men that you're targeting in the primary tier that are going to buy this watch to gift it to the primary tier. That could be the secondary tier. And then you have the tertiary tier, a third tier, which is maybe a corporate sector where, I don't know, this watch is given as a kind of a reward. I don't know. I know it's the same as gifting, but you get the idea, right? Right. Then utilize archetypes and emotions. Select primary, secondary archetypes based on audience focus and challenges. What are archetypes? Now, I always talk about archetypes. I have done a series of, I think it's about 12, 13 different videos a couple of years back on brand archetypes. So I was looking at how do you create your brand archetype? And in that is, of course, you start with the customer archetype. And based on the customer archetype, you create yours. So what is an archetype? An archetype is a consistent behavior in a certain set of people that you can identify, which is based on certain motivations, certain emotions, certain kind of traction, that set of people would behave in that way. Now, archetypes are only with reference to those motivations and those kind of behaviors, right? Those why they do it, because one person may have different archetypes in different contexts, just like how dharma is, right? That's I always talk about this. Like for example, I am a husband, I am a father, I'm also a son to someone, right? I'm a brother, I'm a friend, I'm an advisor, right? I'm a host. So we play different roles in life. Just like that, we also have different archetypes depending on the context, depending on the time, depending on our motivation. You need to identify, especially with the core, so each tier, what archetype best describes that tier and their behavior that is aligned with your business, with your startup, with your solution, the product or service that you're providing, right? And this is based on focus and challenges of those archetypes. Understand the emotional states associated with each archetype, because archetypes is all about emotions. It's about their motivations. It's not a cookie cutter approach to say, just like demographic, all men 25 to 35. Yes, that's a start. But what about these men? A 25-year-old man doesn't think or behave or doesn't have the same emotional kind of context as a 35, 45, 55-year-old man, right? There's a big difference. So you need to understand the emotional connections. What are they thinking? What is motivating them, right? And then you craft a message that resonates with each of this archetypal mix. Now, when I say archetypal mix, and by the way, I think I will do those 13 videos that I did in the past 2 years ago. I'm planning on refreshing them and doing a fresh series on archetypes, right? And I will talk in depth in there. In fact, I've written dozens of articles on this topic. And but I'll just give you a little bit of an introduction here about archetypal mix. No one is a single archetype. They're made up of multiple archetypal mix when it comes to you, right? So you could have the primary archetype, which could be about 70%, and then 30% is a supporting archetype, right? So archetypes, as you know, hero, all these things, right? So you could have an archetypal mix where your primary audience is 70% hero and 30% innocent, or I don't know, magician, or it could be. And you need to understand that so that you can then craft your message for each of those archetypal mixes. Then you create your audience persona. Develop core words and characteristics that describe your audience, right? So you need to create a almost like an audience vocabulary, right? It's like a brand dictionary where you have all these words that describe the characteristics of your audience, of each of these archetypes, right? Then construct detailed audience profiles for each tier representative. So you create a persona, a real persona, a persona that has a name, age, likes, dislikes, habits, desires, fears, challenges, and all that. And then you create the ICP, or the ideal customer profile. Now, I know I'm just scratching the surface, right? This is just it's been 15 minutes into this episode. This is a topic that I can talk for hours and hours. So I got to plan out something. I got to plan out the best way to really bring this information out without overwhelming, right? But trust me when I say, if you've already done it, fantastic, kudos to you. But if you haven't, go back to the roots. Go back to your audience persona. Create that. And remember, it's not set in stone, right? None of these are set in stone. They are living, breathing kind of artifacts of your business. And you got to be always, you know what I'm going to say, right? You know that is coming, and it'll come in every video, in every episode, right? So you got to be monitoring. As a founder, it is your dharma, right? It is your duty every week, multiple times a week if you can. Set aside time to track what is going on with your business and what is with the pulse of your audience, of your customers, and so on. So when you're tracking and you have some KPIs, you have some metrics, then those will be used to determine if your audience persona needs to be tweaked. It's not set in stone, right? You keep tweaking, you keep changing your strategies, you keep fine tuning it, and after a little while, you will get it. It becomes second nature, and you will understand. You will know exactly what to do. So, listen. If you have any questions about this topic, hit me up. Send me a DM on LinkedIn and on Twitter, and I will try to give you my 2 cents. But remember, you got to educate yourself. There's tons and tons of articles there. I've written tons and tons. I will try and leave a link below to the series of articles I wrote a couple of years back, and also a link to a playlist on YouTube that has, that has my the videos that I did. But get to know this, and it's gonna really serve you. All right. So that's all for today. I will see you in tomorrow's episode, and we will continue our journey of building, getting funded, scaling, exiting, and all that. All right. Till tomorrow's video and episode, go forth and prosper.